All right, everybody. I've got about 12:33 on my watch here, so we're going to go ahead and kick things off. Welcome to our fourth session, I believe, for UNCG's 2020 Virtual Entrepreneur Day. This is our 10th Entrepreneur Day and our first virtual Entrepreneur Day, and you all have made your way into a phenomenal session where we're going to welcome Wilson Lester. I did want to let everybody know that we are recording these sessions. We will make those available for you. We'll link them to our website, which is startup.uncg.edu. And I think we'll send an email through Eventbrite just to remind you that we have recorded these once we get those posted. We have a fantastic guest today. Before we introduce him, I did want to mention a little bit about our center, Launch UNCG. Launch UNCG is your one place to start something remarkable, be it starting a business, commercializing research, finding a side hustle, or doing something nonprofit focused. We're here to help, not only give you advice and provide resources, but connect you with the regional entrepreneurial ecosystem, of which Wilson is a fantastic part of. You can check out more on our website at launch.uncg.edu. So today we have with us Wilson Lester. Wilson, if you don't mind, I'm going to put a link to your LinkedIn page as well as a link to Piedmont Business Capital in the chat in case folks want to learn more about you as well as connect with you on there. But Wilson is the Executive Director of Piedmont Business Capital. The Executive Director serves as the CEO of the organization for the Board of Directors, overseeing all day-to-day administration and management of the operations, marketing, lending functions, site visit, borrowers, fundraising, and long-range strategy. I've been fortunate enough to interact with Wilson. I feel like it's been 5, 6, or 7 years now, and just seeing the amazing change that you've been able to create at Piedmont Business Capital. So with that said, Wilson, I'll pass it off to you and maybe throw out an initial question to get you started is tell us a little bit about your professional journey that got you here.
Great. Well, thank you for that very kind introduction, Justin. And thank you for adding a little street cred to me. I've been in this role for about 4 years in the Greensboro market, but have had a great opportunity to collaborate with folks like Justin that are really creating a lot of value in our entrepreneurial ecosystem and making Greensboro an ideal location in the state of North Carolina to start and grow your small business. So my background is a little bit non-traditional. I started my first business while in high school here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and began my journey as an entrepreneur early, and it eventually evolved into owning a pretty decent sized marketing company in the Atlanta market. And I did that for several years, and kind of at the height of our trajectory, the Great Recession happened in 2008, 2009, and really locked me out of the game. And it locked me out because I didn't understand capital as a small business the way that I do now. I also was not plugged into the entrepreneurial ecosystem that supports the growth of small businesses in my community. I was really just doing my business, making money, having fun with that, and felt like, I pretty much understood what it was that I was doing, but really wasn't in the gym like all of you are, trying to learn about exactly who is in place to help support small businesses like the one that I owned locally that probably could have helped my business survive or at least land softly until we could get past the recession and take it to the next level. But in that period, it provided me an opportunity to transition my career. So with that, I took a chance, an opportunity to go work at North Carolina A&T, eventually ended up in a federally funded program that morphed into leading a federally funded program in the Triangle area that has assisted veterans with transitioning from the military into academic programs to help them pursue careers in small business and eventually owning their small business and using their post 9/11 benefit to do that. And that really re-energized me and refocused me on trying to be sure that the rest of my time I either spent as a business owner or helping to perpetuate ecosystem that was rich for business owners and got the word out about those resources so that business owners could survive the lean times and really store up in the times that are a little bit thicker. Um, and it led me to Piedmont Business Capital, which was then the Greensboro Community Development Fund, a small nonprofit in Greensboro with one office with no windows and an opportunity to take the seat as an entrepreneur in the role and take us to the next level. And I've been fortunate to have a number of great partners that have helped me do that. Some of them you've talked to today during this time, and it's really been a lot of fun. So, and some of them were on the call. I see Laura Collins down there. She's really a cool person if you don't know her. But just a lot of fun with it and really getting the information out about how access to capital and small business dollars are your silent business partner and the best business partner you could ever have when you're trying to scale a business.
So Wilson, you've been in your role for, I didn't know you've been in your role for just 4 years. I feel like it's been so much longer than that, but that just shows the kind of impact that you've had since taking over the role. Can you talk about maybe where things were when it was the Greensboro Community Development Fund? And then based on the experience that you had as an opportunity or as an entrepreneur, what opportunities you saw and the changes that you made that have had such an impact?
Great. So, you know, the role at that time, I realize now was not designed for anybody. And it was uniquely designed for me and someone that had an entrepreneurial lens. So I was essentially given a blank canvas. Our logo was GCDF in Times New Roman on a white business card. We had a skeleton of a strategic plan. We did not have a big identity in the community. People that were in tune in the city of Greensboro and politically tied in understood what the organization was, but the broader community didn't have, really a clue about our existence or what we could mean for their progression as a small business owner. So I was given a chance to come in and take something that existed and communicate it in a different way. So that led to building out our plan, building how we were going to move forward strategically, who we were going to take on as partners, how we were going to raise capital to effectively accomplish our mission. Eventually, moving in a direction of how we were going to be not just a presence for Greensboro, but we were going to be a presence for the Triad, which led us to lead changing our name in 2018 to Piedmont Business Capital. That growth from that office with a door with no windows to 7 full-time employees, offices in Greensboro and in Winston-Salem. And stay tuned. Tomorrow, we're going to make a really big announcement in High Point. So we just have grown into an organization that's been meaningful as a capital partner to small businesses first, and as a partner to local municipalities and other individuals that are working in the entrepreneurial ecosystem to create opportunities for entrepreneurs. We can confidently communicate to them that, hey, if you want to start a business, or if you've started a business, there is a source for capital right here in our community to help you grow and develop that entity.
What a teaser right there for a big announcement Wednesday. So everybody make sure to click through the Piedmont Business Capital website there and pay attention to that for Wilson's big announcement tomorrow. So I'm on pins and needles now.
Thank you.
You've talked a little bit about capital. You talked about some challenges that you faced during the Great Recession and how much you've been able to learn. And now you advise hundreds of different entrepreneurs on capital. Every entrepreneur starts off knowing, hey, I need money to make this thing work, and I likely need money that I don't have. Can you talk about how that early stage entrepreneur can find capital and how to most effectively use capital for the folks that you advise?
Right. So, we lend debt. You know, a lot of businesses are looking for grants, are looking for non-dilutive equity, which means somebody gave you some money but doesn't have any ownership in your business, and are thinking about debt last. But I also want to communicate that, you know, and some of you may know that a lot of small business owners swipe that Amex card when they first get out there to try to make things happen also. And that is indeed a form of debt. But what we try to do is provide what I call benevolent capital, money that is a little bit more understanding of your position as an entrepreneur and the risks associated with the dollars that you're spending. So what we try to do is set you up for success and not trepidation that many entrepreneurs experience when you're either spending your own money or swiping high interest credit cards, but really understanding how to leverage your position. So case in point, there was a time when I was a small business owner, and just to give you the image on it, I was young, I was probably 23 or 24, and my checking account had you know, five zeros in it, and in my business checking account, not my personal checking account. But I just couldn't believe what I had done as a small business owner at that time. But I had no debt account. I had no line of credit. I was not leveraging those dollars. I did not know that I could leverage those dollars. And when times got tight, and especially an event like what we've experienced this year in COVID-19, I just spent the money. I just spent it trying to continue to function on all the levels that I had been prior to this economic downturn to keep my business consistent. And, you know, I had no relationship at Wachovia at the time uh, inside the branch. You know, I didn't know anybody. I had plenty of money in there, but they didn't know that, you know, I was Wilson Lester and I was a small business owner, and that, you know, maybe they ought to talk to me, or maybe that I ought to be talking to them. So, you know, what a lot of our work is focused on is helping small business owners, whether you have 5 zeros in an account or you got 1 zero in an account, understanding that your relationship at the bank is important, and that debt capital, you heard me say it, is a silent business partner. And why I say that is, if you leverage your position, regardless of how much capital you have, your access to capital grows as your business grows. So if I had been more thoughtful about it, or had the right coaching, or had tapped in to the individual like me in my market that existed, then I could have understood that, okay, I got a line of credit for $5,000. I utilize that well in my business. I continuously pay it back. And I've been able to increase my book of business because I had access to those resources. They were never a dime of my own. I repaid it out of net new cash flow. And then that line of credit of $5,000 may eventually expand to 50. Maybe for your business, depending upon the line of business you're in, maybe it expands to 500,000. And then it continues to increase your ability to sustain your company, acquire new assets, new resources that help you expand the footprint of your business without deteriorating your corpus. Your corpus meaning your cash, your money, it's still on hand, it still exists, and has not been depleted because you've been able to leverage your position. So a lot of Piedmont Business Capital's work is the discussion of that financial literacy as a small business owner, so that you can understand how to take advantage of the resources that are available to you in a different way that you just may have not understood were available to you and applicable to your business.
Let's take a deeper dive on some of the concepts that you talked there, and maybe try to understand the basics of what leverage is. A lot of the students that I work with, they think, hey, I need to get an investor to invest in my business. And what they don't understand is investors are a little bit more sophisticated, and they're looking to de-risk a lot of that initial risk in starting a business, be it creating an initial product or getting a business model validated. Talk about how somebody can just take maybe a few $1,000s and build a relationship with a bank and then create that leverage, maybe that basic concept of what leverage is and how they can maybe get more money for what they have.
Right. Great point, Justin. So leverage. Let's say, I hate to say it, but it's true, and people have done this all the time. I have a really great friend who leveraged himself into a company that was worth several $100,000 before he graduated North Carolina A&T way back in the day, because he leveraged his refund check to start buying properties right around A&T and started leasing them to students while he was in school. But let's say you took that refund check, you got $1,000 or a couple $1,000 in refund, and you didn't go to the blow it at Friendly Shopping Center, or you didn't go to MrPorter.com or whatever you were on cashing out, right? So let's say you took that capital and you went to M&F Bank, all right, right down the street, or you went to Truist or one of these locations that are close in the community, and you said, all right, I want to open a business account. I've secured my EIN. EINs are free. Okay. I secured my EIN. I went to the Secretary of State in North Carolina. I incorporated my business. And let me just say this, guys, Secretary of State in North Carolina has to be the most advanced Secretary of State in the United States of America in terms of opening a business. There is no place in the US that's easier to open a business online than the state of North Carolina. You can do it in 24 hours. It's amazing. So you take a little portion of that, you get an EIN, you get your business incorporated, and now you have $1,800 left out of that $2,000. You go to the bank with your documentation and you open an account. You put the money in the account and you work with a business banker when you open that account. And you explain to them, hey, I'm starting my own business. I would like to make a deposit. And maybe that bank offers something called what's a secured credit card. Now, I talked about a credit card a little bit earlier, but if you have a secured credit card at a bank, they are securing it with the money that you have deposited in an account. And if you continue to repay that bill very well, and you utilize, let's say, 1,000 of that $1,800 to take the next steps in your business, and those next steps are directly tied out to revenue, and you are able to repay that $1,000, you can in the future have a conversation with your banker about whether or not a secured credit card or a capped line of credit is the right asset for your business. So that capped line of credit may turn into a line that is based on your signature only, that is $2,500 or $5,000. And now you can take out $5,000 whenever you need it from this line of credit and repay it. And as you repay it, that money is still available to you. So if you had a $5,000 line of credit, you pulled out $2,500. You now have only $2,500 left. You pulled out another $1,000. You now only have $1,500 left. You repay that $3,500. You have access to $5,000 again. And guess what? You probably still have that secured credit card. So now your access to capital is really $6,800 because you have a secured credit card and you have a line of credit that is on your signature only. Maybe you choose not to use that secured credit card anymore, and you don't know, you may want to have access to your liquidity that is available to you, the $1,800 that you may choose to use, or you may have developed habits to where you won't use it. And as your business is generating revenue, you're just adding dollars to it. Remember, I used the word earlier, corpus. That 1,800 now becomes part of your corpus that you're adding dollars to. And as you add a dime, it continues to grow. And as it grows, your business banker begins to notice that. And maybe as you start to discuss with them, they may suggest some other ways that you can de-risk yourself, some other products that they have that would be more beneficial to you. in your growth. Now you take all of that. You take your access to capital, the $5,000. You take your corpus, maybe you've grown your corpus to the equivalent of your line of credit. You have your marginally used secured credit card, maybe you don't anymore, but you then go to an investor, all right? And your investor says, well, Justin, what have you done in your business? And you can show them over the last previous year that I've invested, all right, $20,000 in my business. My sales this year are $48,000. I have $10,000 in cash. I have a $5,000 line of credit that has a zero balance. And I have a secured credit card that has like $300 used on it. And then they say, okay, this individual has something. So that when they know that they're putting their dollars in, you already have skin in the game and you've already taken a risk on yourself. The easiest thing for an investor to stomach is the idea that this entrepreneur has already risked something. The most difficult thing for an investor to stomach is for an entrepreneur to present an opportunity that they have to take all the risk on. It's not that they're risk averse. It's just that they want to know that they're risking something with you, more than just your time, but your actual financial position is in play also. It doesn't matter whether or not they're able to invest $100,000 in your business and you were able to invest 1,800. It's more the fact that you did it and you went through a process to build something that merited additional investment.
That is phenomenal advice. And I know that it sounds confusing for those of you that maybe haven't, looked into that before, secured debt and lines of credit, but just think about yourself when you got your first credit card and maybe it just had a $250 or a $500 credit limit on it. It's the same thing. The bank or the credit card company wants to see that you know how to manage your money, and then they're going to slowly raise that limit as you continue to pay off that balance. And it's no different. Your business is just like a teenager getting a credit card for the first time, is they want to see that you can manage that money, and then as you have more success there, they're going to give you more access to capital there. Wilson, I don't know if you have any suggestions of where people could do some more research on their own. I know that you're a great resource, but I didn't know if you just had any suggestions off the top of your hand where if somebody wanted to take a deeper dive on some of this, they could educate themselves.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. That's great. What I'd recommend that you do first and foremost is visit the PiedmontBusinessCapital.org website. You can go ahead and fill out a contact form there, and we send out information on a regular basis to people that have completed that contact form on the different resources that can educate you about some of these financial strategies that I suggested. I did want to respond to a quick question from Whitney. She says, if your business doesn't kick off immediately within the year and the traditional lenders are not ready to extend a capped LOC, are there other alternatives if capital is still needed? So the first answer is yes, there are other alternatives. The first thing that I would ask you to evaluate is post-investment of your own personal resources, have a quality post-mortem or evaluation on why you think your business didn't do what it needs to do in terms of revenue, and then refine that. And then you get the chance to talk to somebody like me. So the benefit to Piedmont Business Capital and why our organization exists in the community is because we target loan capital to businesses that have not been successful with securing capital from traditional lenders. And we do it quite a bit. We have about 110 businesses in Greensboro in our portfolio with about $1.6 million invested directly into them. So we do this pretty regularly. But it's important to us, just as we make a loan to know that, you know, you've done this evaluation, you understand what's happened, and even if you don't understand fully how to take it to the next level, you can present to us, hey, here's what I'm thinking about, and we can help you flesh it out so that we can determine the correct dollar amount that needs to be infused into your business and provide you a low interest loan so that you can take advantage of that capital and do it. But that would be my recommendation. Sign up for our mailings via our website. It's probably the most comprehensive communication that I've seen locally that's specific to finance. And you can begin to learn about different resources that are available to you.
Now, Wilson, COVID has had an unprecedented impact on small business. Can you share anything about local or state or federal programs or capital that may be available for maybe small businesses that are already in existence or ones that are looking to get started during a time like this?
I can speak to what has been available. I will say that, you know, many of the programs that were released this year are sunsetting. There are some that will continue to be available. I feel confident as somebody in the finance space that they will. Uh, the government is very reactionary to a lot of things, less proactive and more more reactor. So we totally anticipate that there's going to be additional struggles in 2021 with businesses that did not realize their maximum financial opportunity or revenue in 2020. And what I mean by that is if your business normally does $50,000 a year, and in 2020 it only did 20,000, the ripple effect from that in 2021 will certainly be challenging for those businesses. So to start off, Guilford County had a $20 million grant program, and I believe they're still letting grants from that program up to $20,000. I think it was 10,000. I think they raised it up to $20,000 for small businesses. Everyone should be, or at least has heard of the Paycheck Protection Program that supported businesses that were previously in existence with covering their payroll for a period of time. But it was based on payroll from 2019. And those resources had to be spent directly on maintaining those positions in those organizations from time of receipt of the funds. What was pretty cool is you got 2 years. They extended to 2 years to comply on the performance of that money, meaning utilizing the money for that purpose. And anyone that received $50,000 or less, their PPP was automatically converted into a grant. So that was really helpful for those businesses. There is also the EIDL loan program from the SBA. It is still ongoing. It is a debt facility that helps support the operations of a small business impacted by COVID-19. It originally came with a $10,000 grant kicker for everybody that applied and was approved for the funding, but they have since ceased the $10,000 grant opportunity. There's also the Small Business Continuity Fund that we deployed with the city of Greensboro. We deployed about $428,000 in loans in the city of Greensboro to 52 businesses through that program. And it was really helpful with a cap of about 10,000 and the lowest loan being 1,900 to a small business. And what that sustained was 6 weeks of operation. What we wanted to get people through was the period of time in which their businesses had to be closed when the pandemic first hit. So we evaluated what their operation costs were for a month, gave it a multiplier of 1.5, and wanted to provide them enough capital to operate for 6 weeks so that they could continue to pay staff, they could continue to pay their lease if they had one, and any other expenses that were essential to the operation of the business. Right now, Piedmont Business Capital is participating with 8 other CDFIs across the state, deploying the North Carolina Rapid Recovery Loan Program. Unfortunately, that loan application process ended on the 15th of this month, and all loans have to be dispersed by 11/20. So we are working feverishly to support about 148 businesses that are in our pipeline with getting them funded across the state of North Carolina, along with the thousands of other businesses that our CDFI partners across the state are underwriting also to help support those businesses. So there's been a tremendous amount of capital in the market to support small businesses. There's been some other small grants available from Duke and a couple of other entities in the community. And when I say Duke, I mean Duke Energy, just really trying to get out there and figure out how to wrap their arms around small businesses and provide access to capital in the easiest means as possible.
Thanks for the updates there, Wilson. And we'll keep our fingers crossed for some additional assistance for those small businesses. And everybody, make sure to sign up for the newsletter for Piedmont Business Capital, because I'm sure that you will keep everybody updated for when those opportunities come up. Wilson, you had mentioned earlier about some mistakes that entrepreneurs make, be it just getting that initial line of credit. What are some mistakes that you see, and what are maybe some quick tips about how people can avoid some of those with that initial capital that they invest in their business?
What has gone away is the idea that you need a business plan. You still need a business plan, and I'm not talking about a 30-page long plan with multiple layers, although that's quality work and it's important to dig in on your business like that. But you just got to ask yourself the question: is this going to be a real deal? Is this really something that you're trying to make money off of? Are you trying to support your lifestyle through this? What do you need to be able to present to be in position to make a decision that you are going to invest in yourself? And also, what are you going to present to encourage someone else to invest in you? Whether or not it's going to the bank, or it's getting in front of somebody that is going to invest in you. So I would just treat yourself like you're talking to a stranger. And this is a very hard thing that I actually heard someone say in a public like panel back when we used to have conferences with panels and everybody's sitting down there. And this guy said, "Would you lend money to you? Would you invest in you? Treat your money like you got to get it from somebody else, and ask yourself if what you're communicating is investable, if what you're communicating merits that money going there, even if it's just you saying, okay, what's today, the 27th? Okay, I'm going to get paid on the 1st. Even if it's just you saying, am I going to spend $200 on registering my business with the state of North Carolina? Treat that money like it belongs to somebody else and say, have I baked what I'm thinking about enough to go spend that money on it? So just spending the time doing a one-page business plan to determine whether or not, A, what this business is, B, how are you going to do it, C, what it's going to require for you to do it in terms of human capital and actual assets, tools. Are you going to need another laptop? Are you going to need some other kinds of materials? And what that costs. And once you identify those 5 things, you have to tie it all out into, if it costs this, what is my expected return? So if there's no expected return on it, or your business isn't solving something that is actually going to generate somebody willing to spend money with you, no matter what it is, then it's not a business and it's not fundable. And if you can't spend the time going through that exercise with yourself before anyone else gets involved, before you stumble into the UNCG entrepreneurship office, or before you end up sitting across the desk from somebody asking them for funding, you need to be able to answer those questions for yourself.
Great advice. And we do please include any other questions you all have. Please include those in the chats. Wilson, you had talked earlier about how great North Carolina is when it comes to filing your LLC paperwork, but that's not the only reason why specifically the Greensboro Piedmont Triad region is great for starting a business. And maybe share a little bit about what your experience has been expanding Piedmont Business Capital to the entire Piedmont and why this area is such a good place to start a business.
Right. So there are just so many people trying to figure this out. Okay. The main reason is from an economic standpoint, it's about jobs, right? Well, the largest job creator in the United States of America are small businesses. A lot of those businesses are businesses where people have created a job for themselves. Over 80% of entrepreneurs or small businesses in the United States of America are sole proprietorships. They're just individuals that are providing professional services, or maybe they have a trade skill or some other thing that they can do that's valuable to someone else, and they're able to create an economy for themselves through that activity. So Greensboro, Winston-Salem, the Triad in particular has a history of entrepreneurship. You know, we drive past big renovated warehouses and all this other kind of stuff that's really cool. And that's all based upon people like you that came up with an idea and stuck to it and got that concept to a point where it was fundable and we're able to turn a profit. I think it's part of our legacy. You look at Winston-Salem market, the first the airport in Winston-Salem is INT. INT. How did they get that code? That code stands for international. It was the first international airport in the entire world because they were deploying so many cigarettes all over the world that it became the first international airport in the world. And now you'll be lucky if a Cessna lands there. But the point is, we have this history, right? And then we have people that are not just interested in it, but are practitioners. You know, Justin is an entrepreneur. Wilson is an entrepreneur. Karen Barnes at Venture Cafe is an entrepreneur. There are plenty of people all around our community that are work. Sam Funches, entrepreneur. There are plenty of people in our community that are seated in unique positions to communicate to individuals like you that also are speaking from a place of personal experience, and then advocating in the public forum that there are more significant opportunities for you. Folks writing tremendous grants. Another kudos to Justin and his team. They did an I-Corps grant. I don't even know anyone else that got that grant, period, and are doing the good work. We have a decent system with our Chamber of Commerce, and a lot of people are bought in. You got guys like Andy Zimmerman that have just decided, well, if downtown is going to be something, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to create places that people want to be, places that people want to go, places that people want to work from, and make a catalytic statement that there's opportunity here for you. I think one of the most brilliant assets that our community has is our academic institutions between North Carolina A&T and UNCG, Guilford College, my alma mater, Greensboro College, Bennett College, all these universities and colleges right here, in addition to being layered by our community college system that has a presence here. We have so much brain power in this immediate market and so much strength based upon all of these individuals that have chosen here as their place for education, that have reinvested here, that have stayed here and continued to make what we are here viable for growth in small business. So I think that's what makes us unique. That's what makes this place solid. And folks like myself that are trying to increase access to capital, a large stake of that. And one of the first things that I personally took on when I started this role was being able to create an organization that had enough capital and could play a significant enough role that when you graduated from a bachelor's or a master's program in in Greensboro, North Carolina, and wanted to start a business, that you had no doubt whether or not there were financial resources here to support that endeavor.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is how well we all cooperate with each other. We've developed a pipeline at UNCG. We've developed a bridge to connect anybody that's part of the UNCG community with a broader startup ecosystem. All you got to do is reach out to us and we can connect you with anybody that's out there. And if you participate in our programs, our goal is to feed these other programs that are off of campus. So just reach out to us and we can help you out there. So there's no better place to start a business, and now there's no better time to start a business than right now. But Wilson, like you and I, we both have full-time jobs, and we're trying to start some side hustles on the side. What tips do you have for folks that have full-time jobs, that are full-time students, that are full-time parents? What advice do you have for them with balancing and just getting started and starting a business? And that's the last question I'll leave you with for today, unless we get a couple from our chat.
That's a great question. I wish I could drop a link in the chat, but I don't have it handy right now. And it took me a while to buy into this, but Jeff Bezos has this thing about work-life harmony, and the reality is in finding success, multi-layered, whether you are a student, parent, entrepreneur, employee, or you are a student, entrepreneur, or whatever your dynamic is, there comes a need for sacrifice in your time to commit to all these things and give them the reasonable attention that they need for them to be successful. And that requires finding not just a balance, but a harmony where all these things can work together simultaneously. I think that when you find, it's hard to balance things. I think a balance kind of makes it seem like equality, like everything is at the same level. But there are things that are going to be challenging. Your relationships are going to be challenged because you're not going to be able to spend as much time in some areas as you may want to. Your business can suffer because you also have to prioritize all these different activities. So it's just finding out what you can do that is harmonious to the other things that are happening in your life so that you can effectively accomplish them. And that you're not introducing disruption, but you're introducing complementary activities.
Wilson, wise advice as always. We can't thank you enough for joining us today, sharing your wisdom and spending your time. Just provide some great information to us.
Thank you. This has been very fun. I appreciate the group for attending. And if you need to reach out to us, you can find us on social media at Piedmont Biz Cap. And I'll try to, where's my cursor? I'm on multiple screens. At Piedmont Biz Cap on all social media platforms. And you can definitely always reach me at my email address at wilson@piedmontbusinesscapital.org. So we'd love to help you. We'd love to be a partner with you and encourage you to stay the course and make it happen. I think there's nothing more rewarding than having the opportunity to own and run your own business and see that grow.
Thanks, Wilson. Please connect with Wilson. Connect with them. Connect with Piedmont Business Capital. Connect with us at launch.uncg.edu. And we'll be on the lookout for recording. Thank you all very much for attending today. And please enjoy some of our other sessions at Entrepreneur Day 2020.
Awesome. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.